Graduates of 2014, on this commencement weekend, we recall the fact that you've learned a great deal at Notre Dame, and one of the things you've learned is how to travel. You traveled here to Notre Dame your freshman year, or beginning your studies here. The majority of you have traveled to some site, some international site, to study, to earn credits, whether it's London or Santiago, Rome or Beijing. Many of you have done a service project at a distant location. And I've heard that for 1 or 2 spring breaks, some of you may have traveled to Cancun or Fort Lauderdale or the Bahamas. In literature, as in life, travel often changes the travelers. You know, we get new perspectives, assumptions are challenged, new experiences, and you come back a different person. You begin by changing your geographical location. You end by changing your soul. I mention this because the reading today, as in recent weeks, have been a lot about travel. We recently heard the reading of the trip to Emmaus. The disciples were on a journey to a town called Emmaus. We don't know why. They were talking to one another, talking about Jesus, his death, the rumors that he's alive. A stranger walks up, begins talking to them, engages them in conversation, reveals in the conversation the mysteries of Christ's life, death, and resurrection, and then in an instant, they recognize that it's Jesus, the Lord. And in that instant, their lives are changed. The direction of their life is changed. This week, Jesus is speaking to the disciples, saying he's going to prepare a place for them. And he's asked, reasonably enough, so that he will tell them the way, so that they can travel along with him. And Jesus says, I am the way and the truth and the life. It seems like those readings are different. In the Emmaus reading, Jesus is discovered along the way on a trip. In this reading, Jesus is the way. But maybe they're not so different. Because on that journey to Emmaus, when Jesus is discovered, when he's recognized as the risen Lord, he changes the lives of the disciples, and they have a new path, a new direction to their life. He is the way, just as he says he is in today's reading. You know, there's an ancient Christian spiritual exercise called a pilgrimage. It's the practice of going to some holy place with a group. And as you walk, as you travel, you reflect on the gospel and on your lives. And with grace, you encounter the risen Jesus. And as you go on that pilgrimage, Jesus becomes ever more the path of your life. He gives your journey a spiritual pilgrimage, a spiritual purpose. In a way, a pilgrimage is a sort of experience of the Christian life in miniature. We're traveling along the road of our life. We reflect on its meaning. We encounter Jesus along the way, and Jesus becomes the way, the path of our life, the one who gives it direction. Graduates, your time here at Notre Dame has been a kind of journey. And we commemorate it at this commencement. You should look back at that journey, I hope, with gratitude and with pride. And as you look back, I hope that you will find that it's been a sort of pilgrimage, a journey that is the Christian life in miniature. And on this journey, I believe you'll find you've formed a community. You form deep and lasting friendships. And I hope that you've recognized in a moment of insight, often at surprising times, wearing a very effective disguise, I hope you recognize Jesus. And I hope that recognition has changed your life in some way and given you guidance for the rest of your travels. No doubt, there's been some trials and confusions. In this week's Observer, a member of your class, Dan Brombach, put it well. He wrote, "My college career has been a bipolar collection of the highest highs and the lowest lows. Like many kids that come to Notre Dame, I got a steady IV drip of humility in my freshman year. I was just as pale and awkward as I was in high school, but after my first few chemistry exams took me out behind the shed, I felt like a tiny pale fish in a lake filled with fish that had already cured cancer or saved a small African nation from civil war. The bright side is that all this did was motivate me. My failures helped pave the way for my successes. To be honest, that may be the overriding theme of my college career." In class of 2014, there have been tragedies. During your time at Notre Dame, we've lost Declan Sullivan, Sean Valero, Xavier Murphy, Michael Thinkpin, Connor Sorensen, and Akash Sarma. All these names are seared in my memory, and perhaps in yours too. Yet you came together. In a letter in 2010, soon after the memorial mass for Declan Sullivan, Jim Ropo wrote, quote, "I've never had the privilege to meet Declan, but I have spent the last several hours thanking God for his soul that could be so inspiring. Though I never knew him, I found myself crying through his service as if I had known him my entire life. I found my heart was aching for his family, and as I scanned the faces in the crowd that filled the basilica, I knew that the entire group felt the same way. I felt the power of the entire student body spreading their prayers over his family, his friends, and his dorm mates. It's not often been an easy trip. It's often not been an easy trip. Perhaps most of you would say that you found something extremely valuable, even transformative, along the way. When it comes to the spiritual life, I am, and you also may be like Philip, who says to Jesus, "Lord, show us the Father. Give us that one overwhelming glimpse of God that will answer all our questions, that will clear up all our doubts and confusions. Then we'll be satisfied." But Jesus replies, "No. Walk along the road of your life. Attend to your fellow travelers. And then, in humble circumstances, at unexpected times, and in surprising places, you will find me, the risen Lord. When you do, recognize me, and let the recognition change your life. Graduates, I hope that you have, during your journey, the journey of your time here at Notre Dame, in day-to-day events of your life, you have seen Jesus the Lord, who, through his death and resurrection, conquers our sin and death. As our paths now diverge, as you go your separate ways, I hope that will sustain you. You will have different companions, but I hope that you will keep a sense of moral and spiritual purpose, a sense of solidarity with those with whom you walk, and especially those who are in greatest need, and with eyes that look to find guidance in the Lord of life and hope. As Alex Kocher wrote in The Observer, the candle was lit at Notre Dame, but we should let it burn deeply and brightly throughout our lives. It is a light of purpose and sacredness, a light whose flicker only indicates the lingering desire to act and to put faith into action. The flames of these experiences may continue on as we stay in touch and reminisce, but forever we will have lit the candle at Notre Dame. Graduates, thank you for walking with us during your time here. Parents and family, we are grateful to you for entrusting your children to us. Graduates, we promise you two things. You will always be in our prayers. And wherever lives take you, whatever path you're on, you will always have a home at Notre Dame and always be welcome here. You know the way.